Hey guys, welcome back to the Vise Squad. Adam Hortonberry here today. Today we are going to be tying my variation of the feather game changer. It's not exactly like how Blane does it. I do a flicker tail at the end. I do the Pec Fins, which he does. But yeah, I had it's a little different hook. It's not particularly unique in any way, but that being said, last couple videos I want to make sure I shout out the people that actually tie the fly and make sure we support them as well. So, you know, make sure to get Blane's book, Game Changer. A lot of fly shops sell it by Headwater Books. Blane's an awesome guy. Talked to him a couple times, took a few of his classes. You should as well. Yeah, support the people that we have in our industry, and props to Blane. Thank you for the pattern. That being said, we'd like to thank today's sponsor, Anadromous Fly Company. I'm going to use some of their gear in these videos. Fly Life Company as well. Awesome sponsors, huge appreciations to them. If you guys have any online shopping to do, check out fishingandoutdoors.ca for Canadian shoppers and fishingandoutdoors.net for US. Now let's get started. This is going to be a little longer than the other videos. I will hopefully have them edit some of the repetitive stuff or speed it up or whatever, so you guys don't have to sit through, you know, a lot of the, it's, you know, it can be brutal, but let's go ahead and do this. This is like a natural variation here. Today we're gonna tie up a pink and white kind of deal. Or I'm sorry, pink and yeah, let's do pink and white. Picking it up as we go. We're gonna do a flicker tail. A flicker tail to start. For flash, kind of just making it up as I go right now. Flash. We're gonna do pink as well, because why not? So in each section as our prop material, we're gonna go with Blane's filler flash. You could sub it out with I think it's a cactus chenille. I would try to just stick with the filler flash though. I think it has a little more spring to it, and it kind of helps this pattern, in my opinion. But if you want to sub it, that's your option. We're going to start with a 10 mil shank from Flyman Fish Co. A bunch of companies make shanks. Fly Life Company makes shanks. You know, pick and choose the ones you want to go with. But for my changers, I like a specific way of doing them, which is 3 10s, then a hook, then 2 15 mils, then a hook. That's for my standard changer, which is about 5 inches or so, 4 to 5 inches. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna do a flicker tail. We're gonna start it off with a little bit of filler flash. Tie that in. I like to give it 2 wraps as a prop for your tail, so it doesn't foul. Clean that up. For thread, I'm using Vise 6/0 in a cream. You could do 140, but it's gonna be a little dense on you. I like to do it because I don't get as much of a build up, but Use whatever you want for thread. And then I'm going to use a lot of hen saddles. For the tail, you could even do a strung marabou tail. I just prefer the flicker tail. I like the look and the action it gives. But like I said, you can do whatever you want. It's your pattern. Select them. We're going to go 4 right now. Even those up. Cut them, trim them, get the fluff off of there, start from the left. The way I tie my flicker tails, I do a left, then a right, then a top, and then a bottom. 2 at a time, 2 little feathers at a time on this one. And you want to make sure they're about even. Those in. We're gonna need a total of 8 for this tail. Then we're gonna do a couple wraps of some saddle just to kind of flank it over and make everything look nicey nice. Then we're gonna do the bottom. Again, 2 more. The ones I'm using for the tail for saddle are gonna be the Hareline dubbin, hen saddles. They're about 18 bucks, 17, something like that. Who knows with the prices changing and whatnot, but you could just pick one colorway from whiting. Pick one colorway from whiting and just go with that. That would do just fine. If you do that, you want to choose, hang on a sec. You want to choose feathers from a, somewhere in the middle of your cape, right in here, and then kind of trim them accordingly to the length of the tail you want. I think that's gonna be good on the white. And again, with these patterns, you can really mix them up. I'm gonna do a 2-tone with 2 different colored pinks for today. But you can definitely do what you want as far as colors are concerned. We got 1 minute. So I'm gonna do like a shrimp pink and a hot pink for this one. And you go 2 feathers at a time. You start at the base and then work your way up the saddle. And that's the way you get a pretty good taper on these changers. Like that. Trim it, get you a little tie-in point, clean it up. And like you're doing a dry fly or whatever, wet your fingers a little bit, kind of try not to trap those fibers. Work them back. There we go. I like to fold it back over itself. Okay. Clean this mess up. If you trap something, don't be scared to back it off and kind of reset, because as you find out, or as you've seen, these take about 40 minutes to tie. So, and it is what it is. But, you know, unless you're hooking them in a log, they're gonna last a long time if you tie them right. Take your time. Like, you know, with any streamers that I've been brought on to help you guys learn to tie, you're gonna learn that, you know, take your time, tie it right. And unless you're hooking them into logs or losing them into rocks or whatever, these flies are gonna last you, because you're tying them the way they should be tied, one, and two, taking your time, making them durable and not rushing. In my opinion, which doesn't mean much, but my opinion, don't break your thread. My opinion, why do something if you're just gonna half-ass it? There's just no other way to put it. I'm sorry for putting it like that, but you know, take your time, tie the fly right, like it's meant to be tied. Don't shortcut it. You know, there's guys out there that do, and it shows in their work. But anyway, go in another 10 mil section and leave it in the vise before you try to do this part, because this can be a chore. And what I like to do here is kind of preen those fibers back. See how the tail's sitting? You can kind of see how we got that nice flicker tail going. We did a nice little coat on that thread wrap of bone dry. I was yapping too much to tell you guys what I was doing there, but you give it a nice coat, and I'll show you again at the end of this section. But make sure you coat that thread just in case you're fishing toothy critters, even trout, brown trout. You know, brown trout will definitely, they like this pattern. I like to use a little bone dry on this part. You'll see why. Just give it a little touch. Or not bone dry, I'm sorry. A little zap, just to work it back so you don't foul that tail or any of the other sections. So you can wind that gap up right here, just so it's like, has just enough room to wiggle a little bit. And then we're gonna do some more of that filler flash. And you kind of want to clean this part up right here. And I like to just clean that up. And sometimes this has a little gap right there, like based on, you know, just fill that up too. I like to give this 2 nice wraps of this filler flash, and then we're gonna have to do a little trim work on it, just so we can, don't break it. And then wrap back over it a little bit. I'm using this 6/0, so I can do this. If you're doing a heavier thread, you're not gonna really be able to do that many wraps. But with this filler flash, you're gonna have to trim it back, and you only want to go about half a distance back onto the previous section with your flash. And you want to cut down the density, because you're basically at the wrist of the bait fish right now. So I like to trim it down pretty sparse right here. But again, your pattern, you want it to be bulky back there for some reason, go for it. Now here's where I'm alternating my colors, and I'm doing the Shelly pink at the bottom down here of the base. Take the feather, clean up some of that fluffy stuff, just so we can have a clean tie-in point. Fold that back, preen them back. Get you that nice little triangle exposed, cut that. in my opinion, smallmouth love pink, and that's the fish I like to fish a lot. So we're doing a pink one today. There's a ton of different variations of these feather changers out there, so check them out. Figure one out you want to do. Start tying them. Add your own little, you know, your own little flair to it. That's what it's all about. The Game Changer is a platform, as you know, Blane says in his book. So I'm sure he would love to see some wild stuff you guys come up with too. And again, you know, I don't know when this video is going to be posted, but he does classes too, so check him out, you know, support him as well. Finish that. Straggler. These cauterizers come in handy when you're doing deer hair work or changers or whatnot. But definitely use them before you add your resin. And again, you can use Zap if you want, or head cement or whatever, but this is the way I prefer to do them. The bone dry. This is our last 10 mil section here. And then we're gonna go into a gammurus, Rear-Ahrex gammurus size 6 in a moment after this 10 mil. What we have to do first is kind of, if you have a Renzetti, it's a little easier to tie these in my opinion, because you don't have to deal with fighting this part as much, but just take it out of the vise, comb it out with your Bakken or whatever. Okay, now we're heading into our first hook, our back hook, rear hook, Rear-Ahrex gammurus size 6. And you can bump this thread to a gel spun right here if you want, since you're gonna make a connection, but I'm not. Yeah, I might break my thread a couple times, and you guys are just gonna have to deal with it. Now, you can use wire. Hang on. You can use a piece of wire right here. Do it like this. Hook it through like you would a articulated streamer. Or you use a size shank you don't use all the time. Take it like that. Right about to that point there for this. Cut it. This is the quicker, easier variation of that. There's tools online too for you guys to make your own shanks. There's a bunch of videos out there on how to do that. We're not going to go into that here. That wasn't short enough. But check them out too. The wire option is really good if you want to save money. Now, once you cut that wire, it's going to be that shank. It's going to be really sharp. So cover that up, and then work your way back onto the bend of that hook. You don't want to reef on it too hard, but you definitely want some pressure right here. Then you're gonna coat this with super glue. And again, nice wraps right there, nice even tension. Put some pressure on it right there, the midway mark, and then start working your way back. Stop about there with a little room. And I like to really coat this thing with a little zap. Or you could use bone dry, whatever you're into. I like the zap for this purpose. And then work it back a little further, a little more tension, then go back over your wraps. And give it a couple seconds. And then we're gonna go back into some filler flash in a moment. Take your filler flash, work it back right about there. Clean it up. Stop right where that shank, where we snipped it, stop there. And then you're gonna palmer some of that filler flash all the way up. You don't have to, every couple, just give it a, don't pull too tight, you'll break it, but give it a nice couple little, you know, tension setting. Just pull on it a little bit. Set it. Like I said, I'm probably over repeating myself on it, but take your time, tie it right. Now here I like to cut it back just because that's a lot of flash. For some reason this pink's a little bulkier, I don't know. I don't want it hanging out everywhere. Yeah, we're gonna go back into this color pink, the kind of shelly pink. And you're gonna go a little further up on the base right here because we're starting to want to see some taper. Now with this particular saddle, for some reason, it doesn't have big feathers on it, so we might have to do another couple on them, just cause. But we might make it. We might make it. Again, boom, snip it. Get it in there. Clean it up. Get all those feathers cleaned up. Go to the advance your thread. Bring your fibers backwards. Start repeating. I might, let me see how this looks, and I might even drop another set in there. Yeah, looks pretty good actually. We'll call it there. Just gonna clean it up. We're gonna whip finish that there. If you wanted to too, if you have grizzle hen saddles around, you could throw a little grizzle right there to kind of, you know, at the end of every wrap back a little bit, throw a grizzle on there, kind of add some barring to the pattern if you want. That'd be cool. Be a lot cooler if you did. And then, you know, hit it with your bone dry. Next section, 15 mil. And then I'm gonna have to make a Vise head swap because I use a Regal. If you have Renzetti, it'd make your life easier, but I love the Regal. Makes you look cooler. These are helpful too if you have a Regal for changers and big streamers. The Loon Vise Prawn, I think it's called. Like 10 bucks. Definitely a must if you're tying a lot of changers. Because look at that. See? Knew it was gonna happen. But yeah, hang on while I fix this. That's why I say always fill that gap right there, because your thread always gets caught in there. If I have pink thread, I do. I'm switching threads real quick. Sorry, guys. This is a UTC 140. Just for the sake of the video, so you guys don't have to see me break thread every 20 seconds. All right. Just keep it rocking. Snip that. Man, the Anadramus bobbin was definitely smoother than this Umpqua one. Just being honest. The thing is much smoother. And again, this is a lot of repeat, but this time you're gonna go halfway up this 15 mil and then wrap back with on that Blane Chocklettes Filler flash, and we're gonna do a little trim back on it again. Wrap back to the halfway point, just trim it up just a little bit, just to kind of put some of those fibers at bay. We're going in back into this color, about halfway up. We're gonna palmer that back up. We're gonna have to try to squeeze this one in there. We're gonna have a little left over, I think. That's all right. There we go. Just kind of work it through it like you would deer hair or something. Fold it back over and then get you a nice clean tie off. I'm about to switch back over that other bobbin after I whip finish this. But yeah, guys, this pattern is super slick. Oh yeah. So much smoother. Another 15 mil. And then we're gonna, after this 15, we're gonna jump into our Gamakatsu SLS12 short. We're gonna do a 2/0. Right here, you just want to comb out some of that filler flash. Kind of let it do its thing. Sometimes you trap a couple of those fibers, you just gotta clean them up. Anyway, we're going to get that set in there. Then we're gonna go a little more dense on this one because we're trying to build taper. This is our prop material. Just continue to give it a little tight, put a little tension to it. Advance that thread up a little bit. And you could comb that out a little bit too, just so you don't. We're gonna go one more, I think. See how we're adding a little bit more of that filler flash. Gonna wrap back over itself just a little bit. Clean that up. Give us a nice tying point for our saddle. Oops. Scissors are sharp. Just clean this flash up a little bit. You're gonna have to do just a tiny bit of scissor work here. I like to just give it, because it's gonna try to poke through your hen saddle, so just clean it up just a little bit. Any strays or those wild ones, you know. That one worked out perfect. Just gonna give that a little comb out and hit it with a little bone dry. Looking pretty good. Whip finish this. Again, you could do the wire connection or the shank. I prefer the shank. Advance your thread down to there a little bit. Bring it back to the barb. Again, this just saves time doing the shank. I like to do this one a little longer because it's going to be up on the hook. Like that. Snip it. Okay. Now before you tie it in, I had a video or a class I was doing one time where a girl tied the hook in upside down on accident. Make sure everything's looking good at this point before you tie it in and glue it down. You can see we're starting to get our shape, or minnow shape, or baitfish shape, whatever. Loose wraps here. And again, where you snip that's going to be sharp, so then as you go back, a little more snug. And then I really cinch it here. Again, you could do a GSP here if you don't want to do that. But just for the sake of the video, I'll show you how to rescue that. A lot of folks do just use GSP on these because of that very reason. Even though I get a lot of breaks sometimes tying these up, I still prefer the lighter thread just so I can get more wraps. I go loose over that because that's going to be sharp too, and then tight. Really, you can see I'm putting pressure on that. Oops. Advance that. And then bone dry or zap for this part, or you could even use a gel. I like to just use zap. Really soak it in right here. And then Whew, that's kicking already. I like to give it some tension wraps right here. Back over it. Back over it. Let it rest there. And I like to give that a second. We're gonna do some filler flash. And then we're gonna do a little bit more of that hen saddle. And then the pec fins. We're getting close to the end here. Appreciate you all hanging in through multiple thread breaks, etc., etc. All right. Again, here is when we're gonna go really tight side-by-side wraps. So really make sure you're not catching any of those fibers. Get this out of the way. Make sure you're not catching any of those fibers. Really work it back. Make them nice and tight right there because you're building that bulk. I like to take it right to that barb. And wind it back. Catch that. 1. Watch your thread. 2. Tie back. Clean it up. Those, if that happens, just wipe them back like I just did and clean them up. Though we're gonna do a tiny bit of scissor work here, not much at all. Not much at all. I basically just like to make sure all the fibers are flowing in one direction. Not necessary, but I just like to clean it up just a little bit. And now we're gonna go shell paint. This is gonna be some of the wider stuff, so keep in mind. Now we're up towards the top of that saddle. And I like to leave a little bit of that webby. I don't like to go right at the tip because you're getting a little bit of that, but close to it. Like that. You know, it doesn't matter if you want to do it the other way, like I was doing it before, do that if you don't want to waste. I like to wrap back just a little bit, clean that up. Okay, here we go. Whoop. If that happens, I do like this. I don't like to just rush forward, and because it will happen to you occasionally. All the stuff that sucks to happen is happening in this video, which is fine because I'm showing you how to rectify it. For the purpose of that, I'm just going to start with 2 new ones. But if you wanted to salvage it, just go back a little further and clean those up. But honestly, I have a feeling the feather was a little faulty. Another thing, if you hit that hook point like I just did, that'll sometimes clip them on you, so be careful. I've seen some guys use hackle pliers on this. You can do that. See, that started to catch a few of those. Now we're going to do our pec fins after we set this. Clean it up a little bit. I like to wrap back just a tiny bit on this part because we're going to tie in those pec fins. I like to be super clean right here. Boom. And just, I like to match my pec fins with my tail. So I'm gonna go back into that white. And I like a certain shape to the pec fin. I like a little more, you know, something like that. So I'll even pick a bigger feather and cut back on them. And then, you know, something like that. Then I tie one in at a time. You go, so it's like that, where it's popping out on that. I'm gonna suffer through it and try to do it for you guys like this. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but I hope you get the gist. I'm gonna have to move it. See that? It's flaring up just a little bit, but I'm going to try to rectify that right here with that. Yep. So you want it to be like that. Clean that up just a little bit. Put in the other one. And you want it to go back a little bit. Believe it or not, these actually do help with the swimming action of the fly. So that's why I always put them in. I like how it gives it that nice kick. I forget, for this particular one, do I go into filler flash afterward? I do a wrap. I'm gonna do a wrap of saddle. The way I tie the smaller ones, I like a nice bulkier head with the feather and the flash. It just gives it that extra push in the water. It's not as narrow, it's like nice and bulky. But you can make the heads narrow too if you want a little more sharper look to it, and little, you know, for like a for a smaller minnow, baitfish imitation, or a more narrow one rather. You can preen those fibers back. Oh yeah, looking good. Pretty happy with this one. Clean that up. I'm gonna do a couple wraps of flash, probably 4, and then do when you tie in flash too, just make sure you give yourself a nice little tying point. You don't have to drive yourself too crazy, but it does make it look a little cleaner. It doesn't add like a little bulky spot. We're gonna finish this off with the darker pink, or the brighter pink rather. Might even do a wrap of white in the front. Don't know yet. We'll see how this turns out. Pink or white, I haven't decided. Now with this next section, I do like to go a little further down so I still get all that. Because we're still gonna throw a pair of jungle cock eyes in this thing. Yeah, we're gonna skip the white one in the front. I like where this left us. We still got a really nice shape going on with this. eyes. Now for eyes, again, you can, like in my flat wing video, you could use these. You could use the same company makes a tab eye you could throw on these. I don't recommend using like something like this from Deer Creek. I don't recommend that because what's going to happen is you're going to squish this profile down you just worked so hard to achieve. So maybe don't do that. And you, or do, but it's your fly. But I'm using jungle cock. I like the look. I think it pops the pattern quite well. I like to do 3 wraps. And then we're gonna hit it with a little bone dry around the thread wrap. Whip finish it, all that good stuff. Another reason why I don't prefer GSP on this, because it'll build that bulk too much right here in the head. Set it like that. And that little bit sticking out is no problem. We're gonna take care of that. I'll show you how to. If it's bugging you, just be really careful when you do it. I like to use this little tool. Boom, gone. Now we're gonna hit it with a little bone dry and we're almost all set with this pattern. Really appreciate you guys' support in the new year. Hope everyone had a great holiday season. If you have any questions about this pattern, don't hesitate. Again, please buy Blane's book. You know, I don't want to sit here and take all of his knowledge, but I hope you guys at least enjoyed it. If you have any questions, drop a comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Any of the shopping, like I said, previous, we'll shoot the line below as I'm saying this. But there's the finished product. Nice clean taper, feather changer with alternating. It's a pink and white shell with some nice little jungle cock eyes. Kind of see the profile there. It has that nice swimming action like that. It has a cool little flicker tail. Yeah, go ahead, tie some up. Let me know how you like them. Thanks for your support. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you soon. Also, please tag us in the flies if you tie them. I'd like to start seeing people's flies once they tie them up. Thank you for your support, guys.